States of America.
Hi, I'm Johnny Kay with the We the People of RI Free Speech TV show. We're in Westerly, covering the Rhode Island Voters Coalition meeting. We've had several candidates up for the midterm elections trying to sell their wares. And great, these people took the time out to come here and answer the common man's questions, kind of like a town hall type of thing, but on a more cozier basis. Mark Zaccaria. Brian Loftus. Brian has a question for Mark. Mark, when it comes over to you, describe who you are and what you're about.
I'm Brian Loftus, commercial fisherman from Wakefield. My question has two questions, actually. One, when is someone going to publicly come out and admit that there is an entity that is trying to initiate a one-world currency, a one-world government? I mean, you hear about it, everyone thinks you're a conspiracy nut, but, you know, we talk about auditing the Fed. The people that own the Federal Reserve are the same people on the Council on Foreign Relations, the World Monetary Fund, and people in the Bilderberg Group. And they control everything. The United Nations has turned into a bullying group around Europe to push their agenda. Iceland was a perfect example. They didn't want to go to the euro, so they just pulled all their money out of their banks and caused chaos. There was fighting in the streets. There was riots. I mean, the UN has turned into the bully on the block, and we fund it. And it's pushing an agenda, but no one wants to come out and say it. That's my first question. You know, is someone going to come out and publicly announce that and admit that there is an entity trying to do that? And the second one is, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? Now, the Second Amendment was put in our Constitution. Not that we had the right to go hunting, or we had to go, you know, the right to go shoot clay pigeons. The Second Amendment was put in there so that when government got out of control, we the people could put them back in control or take them out if we had to. That was our only insurance to fair and just government. And there's so many people in Washington trying to take that right away from us. How do you feel about that?
Two critical questions, Brian. Thank you. My name is Mark Zaccaria. I'm a Republican candidate for Congress here in the 2nd District of Rhode Island. And I've just been thrilled at the outpouring of interest in government that we're suddenly seeing. The Tea Party and groups and We the People and groups like the Rhode Island Voters Coalition are emblematic of the fact that people are really putting their head in the ballgame these days. And of course, so is Brian. Listen to him. He's absolutely right about the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is driving a nail in our coffin. We have to stop the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not a government organization. It is a set of private banks who have been ceded tremendous authority and have run wild with it. The fact of the matter is they control not everything, Brian, but almost everything. The one thing they don't control is your vote. And so that's why I say that if 2010 is not the time that we take back our government, I don't know how many other chances we're going to have. So, yeah, I'm with Ron Paul on auditing the Fed. I think that's going to be a fool's errand because I don't think there's anything there. I think they will just not have anything to show you to audit. I think that the fact is that what we have to do is go back to the Treasury Department and say, start issuing Treasury notes, hard currency, just like it says in Article 1, Chapter 8 of the Constitution of the United States. That's the operator's manual for our government. Well, speaking of the operator's manual of our government, you asked about the Second Amendment.
I did.
I suppose full disclosure requires me to tell you that I'm a member of the NRA. I think that I come to gun rights not just because I'm a skeet and trap shooter. You made me feel bad about that, but I'm not going to let it happen. But because I believe in the people and their ability to make good choices. The Constitution of the United States permits us to have guns. If you want to have a gun, have a gun. My own personal rule of the bar that I try and put on it is all lawful purposes. Somebody says they want to have a 105mm howitzer. Please explain to me how there's a lawful purpose for that. You know, there is one in private hands out in Colorado. There's a ski area that uses it to start avalanches. Right. Okay, so they should have that gun. You know, we're not going to restrict that. If they want to spend $500 per shot, go for it. But the fact of the matter is we have plenty of laws that cover criminal activity. The idea of putting a law on a tool is nuts. You want to have laws not to have a hammer, not to have a screwdriver. The issue is not having the gun. It's the behavior that you exhibit with the gun. If you are managing your firearms within the test of all lawful purposes, you and I are buds.
Right. And I think that also also falls under our God-given right to protect ourselves. And any city that has gone and issued a ban on weapons or guns or people owning them, the crime rate shot up 400%. Because any place that people have guns, the crime rate's lower because the people don't know who's armed and who's not, and they're a lot more careful of who they mess with. And I think it's something that, you know, our country has been founded on. That's why we had the Revolutionary War. If we didn't have guns, we wouldn't have got very far, and we wouldn't have had this great nation. So I think it's the backbone of America, especially with what times we're living in now.
I venture to say that certainly in the last 25 or 30 years, there isn't a police officer in the United States of America that's taken a legal gun off the street. When they find guns that are used in crimes and all that, they're illegal guns. So the issue is not the gun, the issue is the behavior, the criminal behavior. I have faith in the law-abiding citizens of the country to do it well and to do it right, and if it floats your boat, go for it. I also have faith in law enforcement if we give them the tools to correct criminal behavior. But we can't say, well, because you have a gun, you might someday be a criminal. We have to wait until you do something wrong. That is the American way, and then correct it at that time. So, folks, we got the laws. We got all the gun control we need right now. Thank you.
I say that the criminals already have the guns. If you start putting, I say the criminals already have the guns. And if you start putting bans on them and taking the guns away from the good guys, then they're not going to have the guns, which is, in essence, forcing a good guy to be a bad guy because they're going to have to get a gun to fight off the bad guy. So it's the Second Amendment. I think it's a moot point. You go by what it says in the paper, and that's that.
And have faith in the citizens of the United States.
Amen.
They are good people, good at heart, and they will do the right thing. Don't worry about what could happen with a gun. Worry about what could happen with a automobile. Yeah. A lot more people get hurt with automobiles, both intentionally and unintentionally. But automobiles are absolutely essential to our day-to-day living, and so nobody has a peep about automobiles. Guns, you could argue, really aren't essential, at least not now. I hope it never gets that way. But so therefore, there's an inflammatory thing about what could happen with a gun, and it gets treated differently than any other object that you have in your house.
Well, there's a push by liberals to take guns away from people. And a guy with a briefcase and a pencil can steal a lot more money than a guy with a gun.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark.
This concludes this program broadcast. We the People, a freedom of speech television show. Go to www.wethepeopleofri.org.